Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm excited to share my first impressions of the city of Port Louis, which is the capital of Mauritius. Before I came here, I was kind of undecided of where should I go. I was in South Africa in Cape Town. I was wondering, should I go to Johannesburg, or should I go to Durban, or should I just go to a whole new country? And I decided to go to Mauritius based on the location, because if I go back home to the US to come to Mauritius, it takes a long time. Most likely, I might have to catch multiple flights from the US to France, from France to Mauritius, or I might stop in France to another European country. So I just decided just to come to Mauritius now. And so far, by the time you watch this video, I've been here for a week, and I just want to give you all my first impressions of this new city and country that I'm in. So let's start off with what you're seeing now, which is my arrival. I came here using Air Mauritius. It was my first time using this airline, and it was pretty good. The food was decent. It wasn't that much of a long duration of flight, which was good. So I had no problems. And what I'm doing now is I'm about to go through immigration, and going through immigration wasn't bad. You know, it always depends when you're traveling of the time of arrival of your flight. If your flight arrives along with other incoming flights, then the waiting process can be a long time. But I also happened to be lucky, and I didn't have to go through a long waiting process. As you see right here, it's not a long line of people waiting, so the process was very simple and quick. So now you're probably wondering, as I did years back when I first thought about coming to Mauritius but never did, was what are the languages that people speak here in Mauritius? Mauritius was first colonized by the French, and then later came the British. Therefore, people here, they speak French, English being the main official language, and also people speak Creole, and some people speak Indian languages, along with, I've seen Chinese people here, and there's a Chinatown, so they must speak Mandarin. So just based on the languages, you can tell that Mauritius is a very diverse country with many people of all races that all speak different languages. My first impressions when it comes to transportation and the different types of apps that different countries use was pretty interesting, because there is no Uber in Mauritius as of yet. This is similar to my experience in Ethiopia. Also in Ethiopia, there is no Uber. They have their own type of app that's in Ethiopia. Just as in Mauritius, they have their own app to replace Uber, which is called Yugo. So if you ever come to Mauritius, you might want to download Yugo, or just look through your app store and just download another type of app, or just use a taxi. Also, when it comes to my first impressions, what comes in mind is the landscape. The landscape of Port Louis is very lush green. You will see mountains. There's also waterfalls here. You might see or run across a sugarcane farm. So if I had to paint a picture for you, it would be a place of natural beauty due to the location in the Indian Ocean, of its being a tropical paradise. So if you like myself and you like hot climates, you like beaches, you're into botanical gardens, you're into nature, you want to see a waterfall if you have never seen one before, I think Mauritius will be the perfect location for you to explore. And now we're approaching the city in Port Louis. So let's talk about the cityscape. Walking through the streets of Port Louis, the first thing that struck me was the vibrant cityscape, the mix of French colonial architecture with just a touch of modern buildings that create a unique blend of the past to the present. So throughout my travel journeys, if I had to compare this city of Port Louis to another city that I have visited so far, I would compare this city to Georgetown, Guyana, The only difference is I would find here in Port Louis would be the winner when it comes to the lush green landscape, the vibe, the beaches, the waterfall, just the overall natural beauty, and also including the safety. I feel more safe here versus Georgetown, Guyana. But when it comes to Mauritius and Guyana, the two have a little bit of similarities in my opinion, especially when it comes to the colonial history. Both countries have a colonial history of Mauritius having the French and then British, and Guyana had the Dutch, then British, then the French, and then back to the British. So the colonial heritage is about almost the same. And then you have the multicultural society, as I mentioned here in Mauritius, you have a mixture of people. And the top two mixtures will be black African and Indian people coexisting together. And that's how it is in Georgetown, Guyana. But despite these minor similarities, mainly being just the people and the language, there are big differences between the two. There's no comparison. You can't compare an island to another country that is landlocked and surrounded by other countries. I would have to compare Mauritius to another island country. And I'm trying to think right now, Cape Verde, I guess, because Cape Verde is part of Africa, even though it's not attached to the mainland of Africa. So far, right now, by the time you have saw this video, I've been here for a week, and I'm trying to think of my week in Cape Verde. I would say that here is a little bit more modern than Cape Verde. So when it comes to technology and everything else, it's a little bit better here. Also, the aspect of just the location, I would say that here is very beautiful compared to Cape Verde. Cape Verde is beautiful, but here is more beautiful, and that's why it's nicknamed the Paradise of Africa.
Oh, that's him.
So here's my place. This is where I will be staying for 1 month, and until I make up my mind of where to go next. I was trying to make a choice of where should I stay. I'm a beach type person, so I like staying near the beach. And my decision in this case is I chose not to stay by the beach. Just doing my research, the place I wanted to stay at had a lot of tourists or tourism going on there. So when I look deeper into it, it's a lot of tourists coming from France and the UK. So basically what they're doing is what most Americans are doing. They're trying to escape the harsh winters in their country or continent and go somewhere that's much warmer. So I'm thinking that I don't want to be surrounded by a lot of French and British tourists. I want to see the people here in Mauritius. I want to be amongst the people. So I decided to stay near downtown, which is not next to a beach. But it still has a good location of it being not far from downtown. So what you're seeing now is about a 15 to 20 minute walk to downtown. So if I choose to take Yugo or a taxi to a beach, it's not that much money and it's not that far. And also I found so far a grocery store near my apartment, and I'm looking for a gym. So by the time you see this, I should have found a gym by then. So everything I need is at this location. So I'm happy I made this decision. So what to expect from upcoming videos in my Mauritius vlog series is just me exploring the beaches here, me tasting different Mauritian foods. You'll meet some of my Mauritian friends, and just me exploring the island, giving my thoughts of the country of Mauritius. And back to my impressions, let's talk about the locals. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of the friendliest and most welcoming locals. Start off with the taxi ride from the airport to downtown. They're always eager to share their stories or just give you recommendations and make you feel like you part of the country. Let's talk about my first impressions of the foods of Mauritius. I don't know where to start, or even if I should just make a separate video just titled Foods of Mauritius, because as a traveler, or as someone who's planning to travel for the first time, you have to realize when you go to a country and it's more than one type of race in that country, that automatically means that the food is there is going to be great. Not even good, but it's going to be great because you're coming with people's different aspects of how food should be. And what that creates is a fusion of different flavors, and you have more choices. And as a traveler, that's what I want. I want to have different options. And when you come here to Mauritius, that's what you will have, along with the fast food American bullshit. Of course, that's everywhere. But you also have the local foods. So if you make that decision to come here to Mauritius, make sure you try the local foods first. And last, let's end this video talking about something that's really important when it comes to travel, and that is the safety. How do I feel about the safety here in Port Louis, Mauritius? In my opinion, so far, I feel that it is very safe compared to other African countries that I have visited so far. For example, I have been downtown by myself and I've stayed a little bit over past 9 p.m. at night, and I have walked 15 to 20 minutes back to my apartment, not feeling unsafe or like I'm going to get robbed. Not to say that Mauritius is some type of criminal-free heaven, but just from my aspect, I don't really see crime very high here compared to other African countries that I have visited in the continent of Africa. So that's about it. Thanks for watching the video in its entirety, and I tried to make some good first impression points. So until then,